And thanks for sticking with us here on News 19. I'm Chief Meteorologist Efren Afonte. Well, we're going to be continuing a lot of this weather impact, specifically of the cold temperatures and of the rain. Now, our weather impact alert as far as our temperatures is that we're going to be dealing with overnight to mid-morning hours in which the temperatures are going to be roughly between 13 to nearly 20 degrees. That's the air temperature in the mornings, with wind chills exceeding 10 to 15 degrees above zero. And that's just on the onset of what we're going to be dealing with. So no doubt, if you haven't started dripping your faucets yet inside the house, do it now, because the temperatures in many areas are already at freezing or slightly below, and the temperatures are just going to go downhill from that point. And in the mornings, we're looking at temperatures that are going to be not only below freezing, well below where we should be, the average of 35 degrees low morning temperatures. We're going to be getting down into the teens in just about all of our Midland communities Thursday morning. Now, obviously, we are dealing with that cold weather, and the cold weather advisory for all of the Midlands, and really for all of South Carolina. But for the Midlands, we have it until 10 o'clock tomorrow morning. But many areas will still just be breaking around freezing probably by midday tomorrow. But the overall scope is the whole Palmetto State, really all of the tri-state, is going to be dealing with this cold weather. That's why advisories have been posted all throughout the Carolinas and Georgia. In addition to that, we still have the winter weather advisories for the northern, northwest Midlands, most of the upstate, and the PD until 9 o'clock tomorrow morning. And then, of course, the winter storm warnings for the rest of the Palmetto State, pretty much everyone along and south of I-20, all the way down to the Low Country and the Grand Strand. But for us specifically, for Lexington, Richland, Orangeburg, Calhoun, Clarendon, Sumter, and Lee counties, those are winter storm warnings. These areas where the National Weather Service and a lot of our computer models are indicating that we can have accumulations approaching, if not hitting at, and slightly above 2 inches. We'll take a look at the totals in just a moment. For areas of Kershaw, Fairfield, Newberry, Saluda, and Edgefield counties, what we're expecting is the possibility of anywhere from a trace to upwards of an inch of snow. I think most areas in the Midlands are going to see some amount of covering of snow, at least on the grassy areas, not so much on the roads. But the total, we'll take a look at for just a moment. But the time frame is going to be between now and to about 2 o'clock in the morning. Many areas will, just about everyone's going to see snowflakes. But as far as totals, we could be looking at possibly approaching half an inch. To some areas that could have 2.5 inches. Localized could be even higher than that, depending on where the snow bands move. So as far as driving later on tonight, say conservatively after sunset, which is at 5:44, really anytime after 6 o'clock, might as well stay off the roadways, and especially overnight tonight and into tomorrow morning. If you're one of those people who are going to work and have to go to work, just remember, the roads are going to be treated on most of the interstates and the overpasses, but secondary roadways, and especially areas and counties where they don't treat at all, the roads could be slick and hazardous. So keep that in mind if you are planning to go out later on tonight. Here's the overall scope. Everybody in the southeast is dealing with snow. Not a mix, it is pure snow. There's a blizzard warning right now for areas, if you can believe it, in Lake Charles, Louisiana. So that's just to the left or to the west of New Orleans. Those winter storm warnings cover a good portion of the southeast, from along and south of I-20 through Louisiana and Mississippi, continuing through areas of central and southern Alabama, and then into just about the 2/3 southern portions of Georgia, and of course here for the Carolinas. But all of this is snow. And the air temperature is cold enough that it's going to stay as snow. And you can see where the winter storm warning, so pretty much along and south of I-20 until you get to about Birmingham. And then once you cross over I-20, pretty much all the way up until you get roughly around I-40, I-35, I-235, 285 into the Atlanta Metro, and then into areas of I-20 and points north through South Carolina and North Carolina. And believe it or not, it extends as far down as Jacksonville, Florida. New Orleans right now, if you have taken pictures yet, New Orleans, the French Quarters doesn't look like the French Quarters now. It actually looks more like St. Louis. They've got a lot of snowfall already. That snowfall band continues to run along areas of I-20 and just to the west of I-95. But notice it's all moving generally to the east about 15 to 20 miles an hour, but it's also expanding. And all that snowfall that's in central Georgia is going to continue to push through. So it's only a matter of time, and I figured at the absolute latest at about 6 o'clock this evening, in which 6, 7 o'clock this evening, we'll start seeing widespread visible snow in all of our Midland counties. This is how the timing is going to be set. So as we go forward in time, between 5 and 6 o'clock is when I'm going to expect that we're going to be seeing not only widespread snowfall, but this is the time that it's going to start accumulating. And as we continue in the evening, those accumulations will continue. But by the time we get to about 10 o'clock, everyone north of I-20, the snow's ended. By the time we get to about midnight, everybody between I-20 and I-95, the snow is ended. And by 2, 3 o'clock, that's it. We're done. In fact, we're going to start seeing the sky start to clear up just in time for sunrise tomorrow at about 7:13. So it's a very short time event. How much snow are we talking about? The computer models have been wavering. This is an update as of mid this afternoon. Areas that are going to be in Fairfield, Newberry, and Saluda counties could get anywhere from half an inch of snow to upwards of an inch of snow. And again, the ground temperatures are cold enough that it is going to stick. Most of that snow, though, as far as the accumulations, will very likely be at least on the grassy areas. Right along I-20, Aiken, Lexington, Lexington, Aiken, Richland, and then going into Kershaw and Lee counties. We could see possibly an accumulation of up to an inch to an inch and a half. It just depends on where the bands of the snowfall comes through. But south of I-20, as we're talking about, pretty much in Sumter, along and south of Sumter Highway, Calhoun County, pretty much all of Calhoun County. And I would say even though this map is showing just it cuts off over on Colcaw Highway, just consider all of Calhoun, or as well as Orangeburg and Clarendon County, could see 2 inches, upwards of 2.5 inches of accumulated snowfall. But areas that are pretty much south of 5 Top in Orangeburg County, extending all the way down 21 into Bowman, and then crossroads of 26 and 95, then everybody east of I-95 in Orangeburg County. And then in Clarendon County, from Lake Marion, moving all the way up to possibly as far east as the Rembert Highway, those areas could possibly get 3 inches or more. But again, we're not expecting rain, we're not expecting freezing rain, we're not expecting this stuff to sort of melt and then freeze up the roads. This is all going to be snow. The ground itself, temperatures in the ground are just bordering around 35 to 37 degrees, and the ground temperatures will get even colder. So that's going to be enough for all of this stuff to hit the grass, stay as snow. And that's going to be likely the case. Because the temperatures in the morning, we're still expecting temperatures, air temperatures to be in the upper teens to low 20s, but you factor in even a little bit of wind, we're talking about wind chills in the mid to upper teens. So again, it's just going to stick and it's not going to freeze overnight. Now in the afternoon, tomorrow, the temperatures will be more or less right in the mid 30s. With a lot of sunshine, some of the snow, not all of it, but some of the snow will start to melt. It's going to take a while because the wind chills are going to be right at or below freezing. And the timetable for the temperatures to actually get above freezing is probably going to be more in the tune of 10 o'clock to noon. So you factor those temperatures in, and then as far as being above freezing, probably tomorrow afternoon at most, a lot of areas in the Midlands will be above freezing for only about 6 hours. And then as the winds shift in, well, not going to be a lot of melting. So keep that in mind. Whatever does melt is going to freeze as we get into overnight. But the overall scope is that the snow that's coming down statewide is going to continue. Upstate, as far as the mountains, not so much. As we get to about 10 o'clock, everybody along and north of I-20 in the state, the snow starts tapering off. As we get closer to midnight, it's pretty much going to be along and everything east of I-95 to the coast. By the time we get to about 4 or 5 o'clock in the morning, whatever's left over in the low country and the Grand Strand fizzles out. And then by sunrise, after 7:15, 7:30, the sun comes out. The biggest concentration of snow that we are expecting, for all intents and purposes, is going to be east of I-95. These models just updated, so I'm going to scooch back and take a look at those real quick. We'll go over that. But these totals now, I'm not saying that it's going to happen, but there's a possibility that coastal inland, both in the low country and the Grand Strand, could see 5, maybe 6 inches of snowfall. I'm going to backtrack to the other ones in just a moment, but these models updated again, and you can see the division between I-95. East of that, there's a lot of snow. To the west of that, a little bit of snow. So I'm going to jump back real quick on these graphics and look at what the computer models are showing for the Midlands, because it's quite impressive. So the totals now that are updated, we're looking at now the possibility in the far northwest Midlands. So Fairfield, Newberry, Saluda counties, even Kershaw County could see possibly an inch of accumulated snow. Along I-20, Lexington, Richland, Aiken, Lee counties, possibly up to 2 inches of snow. Sumter, Calhoun, far western Orangeburg County, maybe 3.5 inches of snow. And then when you get into extreme southern Sumter, all of Clarendon, the southern half of Calhoun, and central and eastern Orangeburg could see 3.5, maybe 4 inches of snow. I wouldn't go willy-nilly that these numbers are going to be exact, but over the last day and a half, the model trends where the amounts have been going down. This is the first over the last day and a half where the totals are going up. So keep that in mind, that this is going to continue to fluctuate. But this is interpretation, as I mentioned yesterday. Everybody's going to see snow. Everybody is not going, most of us are going to see some kind of accumulation. But with these numbers going up, I factor in that maybe we could see accumulations Midlands wide of anywhere from an inch to about 3 inches of snowfall. And again, the time frame is still going to be short. In fact, the computer model is showing that as the snow continues, and this also just got updated. So the snow is going to continue, but notice by 10 o'clock where we thought it was going to be cutting off, it's still going to be cut off to the northwest Midlands, but a good portion of us still have to deal with the snow. And then it's not until about midnight that the snow cuts off along I-95. It's still all done by about 3 o'clock. So we're still looking at the same timetable, but it's indicating that we're going to have larger bands of snow that are going to be coming through. As I jump ahead through all of these graphics, the one thing again to look at is the concentration of the snowfall is still expected in the Grand Strand, in the low country, coastal and coastal inland. Some of the totals have increased, especially to the west of I-95 and far eastern Sumter, Clarendon, central southern Calhoun, and at least the central and eastern portions of Orangeburg County. But the totals also have gone up for the rest of the Midlands, where we could see now, instead of half an inch, possibly an inch, to now approaching, if not a little bit more than 2 inches of accumulated snow. Bottom line is that here's all the snow that's happening right now. Many areas are starting to see some snowflakes in the Midlands, especially in the central eastern portions of our counties. North of I-20, they'll start seeing a lot more snow, but the biggest concentration of heavier snowfall for accumulating purposes is going to be close to I-95, because all of this snow in northern, central, and south central portions of Georgia, that all extends into Alabama. And all of this is progressing to the east, and we're going to be dealing with a lot of this snow as it comes through. We're going to continue with updates on this forecast, and we'll continue to keep you updated with the information. Make sure that you spread the word that if you need friends or family, you need to know what the forecast is. Not only can they download the WLTX app, but they can also set up their Roku as well as their Fire TV and Amazon with our WLTX Plus streaming services. And of course, we'll have updates on WLTX.com and on News 19 on air. But I'm Chief Meteorologist Efren Infante. We'll keep you updated with all the information, and stay with us. We'll keep you advised.